Age of 42 author. Bishop Jakes raises many important issues. However, first I would like to focus on the question asked, whether America is any more prepared since Katrina. Bishop Jake's answer was no. He stated progress has been made, but not nearly enough. My answer to that same question is also no. But my answer is based on a more spiritual level than a physical one. To be ready for a disastrous situation such as Katrina, carnal human nature must be subdued for a time. It does not matter whether it's a hurricane, earthquake, fire, or civil unrest. The wretched ways of mankind are the real disaster. The stubborn, stiff-necked nature of humans is the common problem. Overcoming is the rarely used solution. No amount of band-aids, emergency disaster kits, food, medicine, and a million-man march of the National Guard to deliver it all will help a people who are not willing to help themselves. After the fact, it's too late. After the fact puts everyone at risk. Those who are caught up in the storm, along with rescuers desperately trying to save people from it. Treating the effect and not the cause are carnal decisions and poisonous recipes for disaster. At the terrible time when the hurricane hit New Orleans and surrounding areas, I was in England. I heard a great many news reports regarding Katrina. Government warnings for the people to evacuate as soon as possible were announced. Warnings were repeated over and over, some on a 24-hour basis, stating government admonitions for the people to leave. I believe early evacuation notices were made almost a week in advance. Certainly, the warning signs were ringing off the hook. I could hear them loud and clear even overseas in England. Many citizens living in the hurricane's projected path did just that, took the warnings seriously, and left, taking heed. They suppressed the natural rebellious nature within all of us to disregard sound instructions. Rebellion is a common commodity in mankind. Not paying attention, failing to see, failing to hear, and not heeding warnings to be prepared, spiritually or physically, are sad historical facts of what humans do best. Yes, many government officials, along with emergency and security agencies, were tragically unprepared. However, we cannot and should not place the blame squarely on the government for the consistent disastrous troubles that befall us. The United States, bitterly millions in America, especially opposing political parties, have maliciously blamed the other for the woes of the country. This blame game is wicked human nature at its worst. This is an unfortunate self-centered trait passed on by our original parents. Adam blamed Eve, and Eve blamed the snake. A warning: wise up all of you infighting political parties. Not a single administration, as long as I have been alive these 42 years, has ever lifted a self-centered finger to do what is necessary to solve the consistent flood threats to areas devastated by Katrina. We must adhere to sound spiritual and physical reasoning, which is humankind cannot live anywhere they want to live. Just because you are an American living in the greatest nation in the world, the land of the free and the home of the brave, does not mean you should be free to set up house anywhere you please. Tragic reality will soon hit you, sadly, taking the life you set up and the lives of your family members away. Our government, set up by the people for the people, should not allow billions of dollars to be spent just so a certain segment of our society can live their lives comfortably under a consistent threat of their habitat being destroyed. Just think of it. Multiple billions of dollars spent placing a Band-Aid on a gushing Grand Canyon-like wound which never seems to stop bleeding. Please understand, I'm not just speaking of the areas hit hard by Katrina. There are many naturally unsafe places where people foolishly choose to permanently live. As an example, look at the tragedy that took place long ago in California. Book Manor picture displays the governor of California viewing the reported tragedies which took these citizens by surprise. On Tuesday, January 12th, Governor Schwarzenegger toured the devastation caused by a mudslide in La Conchita. The mudslide in La Conchita devastated 15 homes and damaged 16. 10 residents were killed, and more remain missing. Yes, I realize, as a nation, we must be very compassionate about these things. However, wasting billions of dollars, placing it in the hands of those who make uneducated choices they have no business making, is an asinine black hole which can never be filled. For example, our government should not make millions of citizens who don't use illegal drugs pay multiple millions of dollars in taxes for those who foolishly choose to do so. Yes, I'm well aware we all make selfish, stupid mistakes. We also must remember, mistakes made purposely or not must and will be paid for. We can choose to either pay the lesser figure by making wise decisions in the first place and avoiding the sinful blunders, or we can choose poorly, allowing the blunders to beat us to death monetarily and physically. As the saying goes, pay me now or pay me later. To pay later is always disastrously worse. Now, here's a World Emergency News publication side note observation. Residing in Great Britain at the time Katrina hit, the BBC went nuts, blurting out arrogant, ignorant reports how the United States government just stood idly by watching people die. The media literally blasted the president and his administration, who they reported were doing nothing, all the while boasting they would have done better. This was not just some isolated case of bragging and boasting by the BBC. A whole host of TV and radio stations like Silly Girls Gone Wild went wild, collectively condemning America worldwide. Understand, to successfully deal with and handle an enormous disaster like Hurricane Katrina, humanly speaking, you must first have a Katrina. Now, please, just wait 1 minute. Don't get your Piccadilly Circus panties all twisted in a bunch. America and the modern world has not seen nor has ever successfully dealt with the disaster that caused Katrina's level of destruction. FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, followed the same high level of preparation it had with other disasters which seemed at first to be of a similar magnitude. Other such disasters FEMA handled with relative success. The point is, what seemed to be right was wrong. Doing what seems right, you carnal-hearted citizens of the world, is the faulty, frail, humanistic problems billions have on a global scale. Now, here's a Chicago Wisdom from the Hood side note. You media whores in England should be ashamed. viciously, jumping on the disastrous troubles in America like a prostitute in a parade celebrating victory over an enemy. How could you rub your sinful salt mercilessly in the wounds of your friend as one might his foe? Listen carefully to this sure rebuke. Bow down your head in shame for your unfaithful treason against your friend. You seem to be comfortable with turning your back on your brother, like a dog going back to his vomit. You conveniently forget the rebuking effects your nation received in denying your other brother, Judah, safe haven in the land after the Second World War. This unbrotherly, ungrateful gesture was just after your own behind was literally pulled out of the blitzkrieg fires dealt by the enemy, Nazi Germany. Now, are you willing to become an enemy of the United States? Brother Ephraim, England, you should had better take heed of this trustworthy indictment, or you may soon find yourself again desperately in need of a behind-saving fire. In all of your so-called intelligent gathering on Katrina, did you bother to notice or report that the region of destruction caused by Hurricane Katrina was almost larger than the United Kingdom itself? In all of the unabashed bragging and boasting done by the BBC and others who I personally heard, acknowledged not was the enormousness of this hurricane flood. If this colossal storm, unprecedented within my lifetime, hit England with the same intensity, it might transform the blessed British Isles into swampland. Again, you ought to be ashamed. Repent and reconsider your naive, wishful thinking of how prepared you would be. Unfortunately, perhaps soon, a horrific Katrina-like hurricane may hit you. Then you will have to show the world how prepared you truly are. But you can rest assured, America's media will not tear your country down, destroying it even more than any natural disaster. In all my 42 years of life, I have never heard such condemnation of America as the senseless statements you've leveled against us, the United States. It is now time for me to sing you a song. It's an old song from the Stylistics called Payback is a Dog. I believe the poetic lyrics are perfect for this occasion. By mistake I heard some news about you. I just turned my head and closed my ears. It hurt so bad. First I tried to run. I paused a moment just to catch my breath. And then I saw how big a fool I was to have loved you so. And when I turned my back, I had nowhere to go. Remember when I told you not long ago, if you wanted someone new, to let me know. One day, you'll know just how it feels. Payback is a dog. Payback is a dog. Payback is a dog. Payback is a dog.
By mistake
Consider how silent it would be if a similar disaster did take place hitting the mainland in London. The spiteful, embittered media would no longer be reporting anything at all. All news fabrications would come to a halt. Future reports, commonly false, would not continue to be broadcast. All self-serving comments would cease. No longer able to speak because you would all be too busy holding your breath while you and Big Ben float along the Atlantic Ocean, desperately trying to prevent your lives from ticking away. Since the Revolutionary War, the rebellion in the minds of the United Kingdom, there has not been a better friend faithfully allied by your side than your loving brother, the United States. Please relent, media of the United Kingdom. Please reconsider your wayward actions and repent. Rest, meditate and reflect. 25 Salah. Think on this. Please note, there's an appreciation meditation message of reflection from the author titled, Blessed to be Born in the United States. To hear this audio, go to worldemergency.com, click on title, Blessed to be Born in the United States, and the audio should play. Question. You who are reading this book, have you mercilessly complained and criticized the government of America, the single greatest leader of the entire house of Israel? You too should be ashamed. Verse 12, you should not look down on your brother in the day of his misfortune, nor rejoice over the people of Judah in the day of their destruction, nor boast so much in the day of their trouble. Obadiah, chapter 1, verse 12, New International Version. Age of 42 author.